Oh, I forgot I was on right here. Sorry. I was getting some of my artwork because that's the title of this segment. By the time I get through with all this storytelling, you're going to know all about me. Golly, that's not good. But I just want to, I could write several books on my life. I've been there, done that, and got several t-shirts. I've got one on right now. Yeah. So, this segment is how I got started painting. I've always been somewhat artistic. Even in junior high school, I used to piddle around with it a little bit. My daddy, he always wanted me to be a sign painter. But this is when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, and I didn't care nothing about sign painting back then because you had to use your brain. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to use my brain to, that's the reason I didn't play sports. They got all these plays and stuff, football, basketball, and I didn't want to have to use my brain. In school, I had a friend. He used to carry every book he had home with him every night. His arm would be out here toting them books. I didn't carry no books home with me. I made straight A's. I used to exempt stuff at the midterms and stuff. I didn't have to take them because I exempted them. We used to do these little graphic art things where you color it in and everything. I'd get A's on that stuff because, man, I really got down to it. But I really didn't start oil painting and stuff like that until I got on up there. I took an art correspondence course. I actually won it through that, I forget the name of it. They sent me a big box. They teach you everything about art. Colored pencil, charcoal. Did you hear that? Charcoal. I don't care nothing about that. Just everything artistic you could think of, they try to teach you this. Even sign painting and stuff. 14, 15 years old, I did not want to use my brain for nothing. I just wanted to go out and do my thing. I was a rebel, you might say. So I didn't do it. Channel 10, PBS, used to air Bob Ross. Y'all remember that? Bob Ross. And I got interested in his stuff because he could paint a beautiful picture in 30 minutes because that's how long his show was. I mean, he could pop that on there on them brushes, getting the paint off of it. And I just got enthused by that wet. He called it a wet on wet, where he'd paint it white or black to start with, and it'd still be wet time he started painting on it. And I learned that method and started painting a little bit. And here in a minute, I'm going to show you some artwork that I've done that way. I even painted this house right here, my old home place. A lot of my aunts and I used to call this the Creole house because my grandparents used to live in this house. I had a double first cousin that was born in this room I'm sitting in. Ew. Ew. But anyway, I got to piddling around with that and I liked it. But what I didn't like about it is I wanted to finish a painting, especially if I was doing acrylic paint, because it dries. As soon as you put it on the canvas, it dries. So, I'd spend 24 hours trying to finish a painting. I'd be so sleepy. I'd be wanting to finish that sucker. I didn't want to paint a little bit and set it aside and then come back the next day. I wanted to finish it. That's the reason I learned the wet on wet, I guess, where I could finish it pretty good. So, you know, my painting is far, you know, you have to be motivated to start painting. And I finally figured out what people want, because my daddy, he sent a lot of my paintings, and some of them I thought was, man, some of my best work. Cannot give that painting away. Can't give it to somebody. Here, have this painting, I'll give you $20 if you'll take it. That's how bad it was. And it was a beautiful painting. And I realized people want something that they can relate to. That's what I realized. And some of my paintings, I painted the same thing. It was a stream just kind of zigzagged out of picture, and there wasn't nothing else in it, just trees and stuff, and a field in the background, mountains in the background and stuff. So here's what I done. I put a fence in the field back there. I put some teepees. I put some horses in the fence and everything. Sold that sucker just like that. It was the same painting. I just put stuff that people related to it. I took that same painting, the very same one, up closer on each side of the stream. I put totem poles. Y'all know what totem poles is? Sold it just like that because people relate to Indians and stuff. A lot of the paintings, I would paint the same thing and put an old barn in it. Just an old barn with the planks halfway coming off and stuff. Sold it just like that. I had a painting that I done. I worked long and hard on this sucker. Actually, it was about as big as my my doom whacker right over there. My just like this one behind me. I mean, it was a big painting. Water coming over with a, you know, it was like this right here. They had a big rock. The water coming up on the beach and splashing up on that rock and stuff. Beautiful painting. Couldn't give it away. Couldn't give it away. Here's what I done. Took the same painting. Matter of fact, I took that painting too. I put a sailboat in the background. Sold it just like that. I'm fixing to show you some of these paintings here in a minute. And I might talk while they're running through them and everything if they ain't too fast. But you can see some of my artwork. Now later on in years, when I was probably in my 20s, maybe even 40s. Yeah, it was probably in my early 40s. I know a lot of my classmates, they knew I was kind of artistically inclined, you know. And I got in the booster club at Dora High School when my son got up probably 9th grade and stuff. So I went ahead and got in the booster club. And a bunch of them guys that knew me pretty good, they said, can you paint a bulldog out on the 50-yard line? And back then, I don't know if y'all remember, all you from this area, the home side was on the opposite side from the concession stand and the press box and everything. The home side was on the opposite side. It confused a lot of people coming from out of town. They would come and they would automatically walk on the other side, and then the home side would say, y'all side is over there. And it's like, really? Because the press box and cameras and all that was on the other side. And it was very confusing. I mean, it was better bleachers and stuff, but, you know, it was real weird. So I told them I'd do it if I'd face it towards the press box. Because back then it was on TV. It's a local channel up here, and I wanted people to see it on TV. They said, no, paint it, do it toward the home side. And I said, well, I ain't going to do it then, you know. And I talked them into it. So I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn. You learn by your mistakes, and I made a bunch of them doing what I do. And so I drew this big circle. Man, everything I done was by the inch. Man, I measured everything. I don't do that now. But I measured everything down to the inch. I made this just a 5-yard circle. And I put a bulldog head in the middle of it. I don't even think I got a picture of it. I might have. But, like I say, the home side is on the opposite side. I faced the bulldog towards the press box and all the TV cameras where they could see it. One of the other boosters, and I'll tell you who it was, Gary Butler. Gary Butler. Now this got back to me, and he was looking at it upside down, you know, because he was on the home side looking at it. And this got back to me. He turned to somebody and said, "What is that out there, a pig?" And that got back to me. Upside down, it probably did look like a pig. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't no pig. It was actually a pretty good looking bulldog. Wasn't very big. Wasn't very big. But it got back to me. And every year after that, paint that bulldog back out there. I said, I ain't painting no more pigs out there. So it just got to me. So later on in years, when my son got up there, say 2000, 2001, I started doing it again. By then, the home side changed actually where it's supposed to be, where it's at now. So I started painting different ones, and I was still measuring it down to the inch, man. I was measuring everything I'd done, you know. And if you don't know how I do it, and a lot of you art people, you know how I do it. I do it with a grid. But I was measuring these grid. You just put a dot out there for the grid. You know, it's just a square dots. And I would start in the middle, and I would measure so much. And I was standing down there one day, looking up there at the bleachers and stuff, and it just dawned on me. I said, them people ain't going to see no inch. You know, they ain't going to see 6 inches off. They ain't going to see it. So I started stepping it off, and I do it a lot quicker now. I can do a 10-yard standing bulldog in an hour and a half. And I have done it with somebody helping me in 45 minutes. So I've got real fast at doing it. And then I started doing end zones. And end zones now, I can do them just as fast. I can do both end zones and the middle in 3 hours. 3 hours. I do not paint the end zones in. I make the letter, and usually nowadays, schools has got those sprayers. So I make the letter, let them spray it in. It's the best way to do it. You don't want to use those aerosol cans, you know, that I paint the metal with. You don't want to do that. It'll take you an arm and leg. So you just water down, you know, that paint in the end zones and do the end zones, man. It's the best way to do it. And I even got better on it, man. I can pull that line down. Because every letter, I shouldn't be telling y'all this. Y'all be doing it yourself. Like this letter, like this T right here. See, you got one in the middle and that little thing sticking out. So every one of them, it's got, I'm pointing at it, but every letter has got a side, a middle, and another side. A side, a middle, and another side. That's what it's got. And things like this S or a H, let's say an H, because it's got the sides and it's got the middle. So what you do, I tell everybody, say this S right here. I don't make an S like that because it's more like coming straight across and then curving around the way I make it. But I tell everybody that helps me, I said, remember these measurements. 3 foot, 5 foot, 5 foot would be coming up to this right here. If it had a little leg and this right here, that's 5 foot. Where it starts coming around, making the circle, was 3 foot. So 3 foot, 5 foot, the middle would be 7.5, 10.5. And then you got the 5 and the 3 again. So that's the same measurements on every letter. Every letter. 3 foot. 5 foot don't go with everything. Neither does 7.5, but 3 foot goes with just about every letter except the I and the H. Anyway, it's those measurements every time. So boom, 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 I put it on there. That's how I do it. And I do the middle with a grid. I step off a grid. Nobody up there is going to see they ain't going to see a foot. If you're a foot off, it ain't going to see it. Sitting way up there in them bleachers. So I put that sucker down there like that. And that's how I started doing football fields. And I have done baseball fields. I put senior numbers around it. I've even put in center field their logo on some of them. I've painted on walls now. Stuff like that. Sign painting, I've got a lot better with sign painting. It'd be just like doing the end zone, except the end zone I make 6-yard letters. That's a big letter, y'all. And each leg is 3 foot. You understand? And in between letters is 6 foot. So it's big. It's big. So I could sign paint now. Thank you, Daddy. But I wouldn't want to do it for a living. I sure wouldn't. But right now, I'm going to show you. I'm 67 years old, and I'm still painting these football fields and stuff. To me, I've done it so much now. You know, I've made so many mistakes. I've even painted a letter upside down. I measured something. If you don't keep your back to the way people's looking at it, you will make a mistake. If you keep going round and round and round, you get confused. So I got to where I make the letter the way it's spelled. I don't try to make the back letter and then, I don't do that. I make the first letter first, next letter later. I do it just like it's spelled, or you will mess up. I have messed up. Lines, Lines. I measured it out. When I got through measuring it out here, I started making an L. I looked at it and I said, that ain't right. The L's supposed to be back over here. Lines. And when I got out here, I started making the L. I got confused. So now, if I kind of step back, if I get confused, I'll step back and look at it and say, yeah, that's right. So I have made my mistakes. So here's some of those football fields. Here's some of those acrylic paintings. I had to learn acrylic paint too, because I was used to doing that wet on wet, where you could slide that paint around and make what you wanted to make with it. And then I painted some of these paintings with acrylic paint. And when you put that on there, it dries just as quick as you put it on there. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to figure it out as I went. So some of them paintings is done that way, okay? So here we go. I'll try to talk during this thing's playing, okay? So here we go. Let me move this thing out too. Oh. That's my old home place right there. Uh-oh, that's on the big practice facility they got up at Dora High School. Yes, I painted that. You see what I painted it with. That's one of my first paintings when I got started painting again. And again, I didn't know too much about what I was doing, but it's alright. You can see my name there. Now this is the one I painted, And then I put that sailboat in the background. It got wet, that little dark spot up in the sky there, it got wet. I didn't know some of these are going to be up sideways, but that was Brewer High School. Here's some of the senior numbers I put on, I think it's Dora High School. I'm pretty sure, yeah. That's Cordova. They got them a stencil now, so they quit using me because they got them a stencil. And I looked at their stencil and I thought my Blue Devil was better than theirs. Here's another one of my first I've done. I was just learning how to paint pictures and stuff. This right here I thought was one of my best pictures, but it don't have nothing in it, just a tree. So you can't give it away. There's one of my football. That's like the Mizzou Tiger. It was done at Oak Grove High School. And it was a Dickens. This is on the wall at Dora High School. It's a little bit faded now. I need to go back down there and touch up some of this stuff. This one right here, one of my favorites. And you cannot give it away. I need to put something in the background there. This is one of the same paintings, except I put it like it was snow. You can see birds in the background and everything. This was at Oak Grove High School also. I thought that was pretty nice. This one right here is the one I put teepees and totem poles and stuff like that in the picture and sold it. This was at homecoming at Dora High School. I put a big D out there because you could still see the bulldog, and I just touched it up. This painting was Ricky Peterson's church, the old church, and nobody know who painted it because I carried it. This was Lines up at Haleyville, Alabama. You can see my car in the background there. That's on the wall up at Summerton Park. I will not be painting nothing else up there, I'll tell you that right now. This was my brother's favorite painting. It's like a sunset, and the sand and all is silhouetted. This one got water stained too. It's a little boy with a sled hauling a Christmas tree fixing to go through the covered bridge. This was when they dedicated the field at Summerton Christian to David Campbell. It's called Campbell Field now. This is one of my acrylic paintings. This is distorted somewhat. It don't really look like it, y'all. I gave this one to the cook at Lee's restaurant. A guy silhouetted. There's the old barn, kind of springtime-ish. This is one of my first paintings because there are mistakes all in it there. That mountain in the background should have been a little brighter. There's that same painting with the ocean and the sailboat in the background. Now, if it didn't have that sailboat, now this is, I hadn't painted the bulldog yet there, but this is a thing I did in their practice facility at Dora High School. This is at Addison. I do Addison's also. Some of these pictures is stretched out, y'all. I don't know what's going on. This is acrylic paint that I didn't know what I was doing. That's the Mountain Brook Mill. Some of y'all know where that's at. And that was probably the last one. This is one of my end zones I done at Cordova High School. And of course you're looking at it sideways. I gave this painting to my aunt, and they died, so I got it back, or got the picture back. No, I took a picture of it, that's what I done. This is Dora High School. I painted it somewhat like the Samford Bulldog used to be, with a little bit of changes. Year before last, that's what it looked like. It don't look like that no more. Is that the last one? I believe it is, folks. Anyway, that was most of my paintings there that y'all saw. I reckon that showed every one of them. But anyway, that's how I got started painting, and you know, I still do it a little bit on the side and everything. Somebody calls me every once in a while, and I still do football logos and stuff like that. Stuff that I know that I can do. Stuff that I can't do, I leave it alone. If it's real high or anything like that, I won't fool with it. Somerton Middle School. You got a bulldog up there. It looks like it's looking through the brick. Yes, I did that. And the bingo places was in Walker County back then. And I charged them real low because the principal at the time was a good friend of mine from baseball and everything. So I put my price way low. I found out later on that those bingo places is what was funding that. And I painted some on the court too. I think it's still there actually on the court. They probably painted over it, but what I did is still there. I can tell the letter that I did, and it's still there. They probably painted over it though. But that bulldog is up on, they used to have an old yellow bulldog. It was yellow, and it was ugly. I don't know who painted it. I'm sorry, but it was ugly. And a lot of people, had been there so long, a lot of people didn't like mine because it was different. Most of them did, though. But when I painted that, my son helped me. I didn't want to take no paint up with me because we had to have an extended ladder. And it didn't go all the way to the top. It went about a quarter way up on the logo. And I just painted over the yellow thing. I didn't paint the wall and then paint it. I painted this over that ugly dog. But like I say, I didn't carry no paint up with me. So when I got to painting that very top, I would actually dip my paint, go up the ladder, and actually had to hold on to the wall. Because the ladder, like I say, the ladder didn't go up that high. And I was on the very top of that ladder holding the wall. I'd go, and then back down. Do another one, and I got it painted though. It's still up there. So all you Somerton Middle School, I'm the one that painted that. And if you want another one painted on that wall, you're gonna have to get me a bucket to go up in, because I ain't getting on that ladder no more. I'll get in a bucket and go up there and paint it. That'd probably be simpler anyway. But I ain't going up that ladder no more like I did. That was tough. So that's how I got started painting. Now next segment, and I don't know which time it'll be, I've always been a jokester. A lot of y'all at karaoke and people that's known me for a long time, you know I like pulling jokes. But I have had some jokes pulled on me too. So that's going to be the next segment. Some of the stupid stuff that I've done. I'm a jokester, y'all. So see y'all next time. Keep having fun and keep playing music. Keep making music. That's what I meant to say. Keep making music.